Thank you, Your Highness. Yeah, I'm with John. I don't have a problem with having the two-sided parking, and I honestly would probably lay down $5 on you, Walter, that we'd probably only see parking on one side of it anyway through that entire time, so it probably wouldn't be that hard to do. But I also have a feeling we wouldn't do it in my lifetime because, you know, Mr. Prawl and his direct descendants obviously aren't going to do anything with his property, so, you know, I don't know how many years down the road it's going to be before somebody says, well, I don't care what Jim thought, we're doing it. But, you know, it could be a couple generations down the road, but, you know, eventually something might happen there. But we won't have to deal with it until somebody has to look back and decide what we decided back in 2016. And even then, they may decide that a collector can have parking on both sides of the street. We may have a change in street standards by then. So who's to say?
Probably several.
Yeah, probably several. So I'm okay with that. I do want to stay with the what is it? Vertical curbs. And as far as the tree lane on Orchard, tree lawn at Orchard, I can see an issue there. You know, it'd be nice just to not deal with that because of the sight distance concerns, as well as, you know, the fact that, you know, you do kind of get some topography challenges there as well. So I think that would be okay there to leave that off. But I do want to add the condition. We have the ones, but I do want to add that streetscape alternative with the 10-foot bike and ped path as a condition. I don't think it's in there. I don't know how it's included now. I know that was an alternative you guys come up with for tonight, correct?
Correct.
Yeah, so I'd like to see that as a condition should we move this forward with approval.
I would agree with Dan on most of his points. I think the idea that Lanny Lane is going to be a high-speed through street in our lifetime is pretty minimal, given the fact that Mr. Prawl and his descendants will control that property and probably prevent that. And I think that's one of the main concerns of everybody that's in opposition of this is that there'll be a lot of traffic through their neighborhood. I think it'll be a long time before that happens. And I agree that Planning and Zoning has looked at this pretty carefully, and I would go along with the conditions, including the one that allows parking on the street. I think that's important in that neighborhood.
I wanted to ask you some questions about or get clarification on. Is it possible? I like the decision about keeping it 25 miles an hour and the tree, no trees on the sidewalk and stuff. But is it possible to make a covenant for that if people purchase property in the development, that they could have some sort of because it seems like the water is the issue that has been the big question, that if those people that purchase those lots that are on the north side and the kind of northwest side, that they then do something to promote wetland conservation or grow it. I don't know how to say it. Just because when you look at the way the land lays, those are the properties that would have those right here. Is there something that the developer can do when he sells the lots? You know how sometimes lots have covenants, and when you come in, you say you can and can't do certain things.
Well, the developer could certainly do whatever he wants in the covenants, but the city doesn't enforce covenants, and so we don't really get involved in CCNRs. You're going to have a Picabu street that's going to head north in that area, and so all the water is going to be collected within a storm pipe, which is conveyed to the stormwater detention pond. And so I'm sure you'll see some wet areas around there, but it's largely going to be, you know, the roadway, and then maybe you'll have some side yards that are a little wet off of Picabu Street. But other than that, there is no designated wetlands on this property. Property to the north with the freshwater ponds are on the National Wetlands Inventory, but talking to the Army Corps of Engineers, there's no jurisdictional wetlands going across this property. So
they've developed it into wetlands then?
there is no jurisdictional wetlands.
No, but I mean, they've grown it by growing their pond. They've grown
Yeah,
wetlands.
it's a man-made pond, and so, yeah, that would be a freshwater pond as a classification of wetland.
Okay.
Yeah, and as for me, I am in agreement with what everyone else has said here. I do think the one central point is the flow of water down through the site, but eventually that's been already cut off in this guy's backyard right here, or thereabouts, because other subdivisions have been built to the south, and excuse me, and the wetlands themselves don't reappear until you get down here below Tatuna. So already it's an interrupted series of hydrology movements. I don't think that anything would be gained worth having by having a double cul-de-sac, because if my memory serves me correctly, cul-de-sacs are 96 feet in diameter, which is huge, and then you've got a sidewalk to the outside of that. That, to my mind, would increase the runoff in any kind of rain or precipitation event and cause even more problems than what would already exist. Further, they would eat up a lot of the land, turn it into impervious surface that would otherwise be occupied by people's front yards, backyards, and other issues like that. And so, to my mind, the double cul-de-sac would do nothing but impede east-west traffic. And as people have already indicated, this town has a problem with east-west connectivity. And for sure, Trail Road should be kept in mind as growth occurs to the north for a full connector between Mountain View all the way over, hopefully, to Highway 95. But for in here, if you're on Blackwell, to get to Rosars, you have to go clear around Mountain View all the way down to F and around that direction, where is an easy out just here down Public, and you're down at the same place. So it actually does a fair job of conserving trips around town and decreasing motorized traffic on other of the streets that would otherwise be impacted. So with that in mind, I feel that the development is good. I wish we could do something about the west side of Orchard to give it a full width connector layout, but as is, it's not going to happen for a while. The visuals on between the two highlands is tough. I've never liked them myself. But if we can keep the traffic limit there to 25 miles an hour, keep the speed limit to 25 through the Lanny, I think we're in good shape. But I really do agree with the name Lanny and Landy. They are too close on a 911 call at 2:30 in the morning. For sure the emergencies are going to go to the wrong place. And here's a chance to fix it now instead of worry about it later. So those are my thoughts on what's going on. Dan?
You know, I'd like to make a motion that we approve the preliminary plat with these conditions. The Orchard Avenue right-of-way shall match the Orchard dedication through the Evergreen Hills development to the south of the proposed subdivision. Public utilities be extended to the north subdivision boundary in Picabu Street. The developer shall verify that Picabu Street location is viable for future extension to the north. Developer shall enter into purchase agreement with the city to acquire Tract A for future water booster station, or the developer shall increase the lot area to meet the minimum lot area requirement of the R1 zone prior to the final plat, and that the developer include the streetscape alternative presented tonight with the parking on both sides and the 10-foot bicycle pedestrian path. Was that on the north?
South.
South side of what is currently called Lanny Lane.
I'll second that.
Do we wish to include the nomenclature and the landscaping issues?
Okay, I guess we can also, I'll amend it, that as far as landscaping, you're talking the tree lawn at Orchard?
No, I'm talking the landscaping with the street plan for the 10-foot wide bike path that didn't have any reference to tree lawns landscaping around it.
Well, there's a tree lawn between the path and the street, correct?
Right.
Correct.
Yeah, it's
Okay.
already,
And that's, as they proposed.
Okay.
So that's, if you need to add more to that.
It'd just be typical street trees within that area, yeah.
Okay.
And we don't need to condition the vertical curb, because that's part of the standard, correct?
Correct.
And then you had something else?
Just wanted to point out we had the path going to the north on Picabu Street. We also wanted to talk about expanding maybe the sidewalk on one side of the street on the west side to 10 feet, so we could carry the path system to the north.
I think that's in.
Yeah, if that's part of, I think we can include that into that streetscape alternative.
Okay.
If I may, did you also want to direct that an alternative name is found for Lanny Lane?
Yeah, is that something that we need to condition, or should we just give direction as upon approval?
Yeah, just, I guess one of the considerations there is there are a couple of existing houses that have the Lanny Lane address.
That's was my worry.
Yeah, and it's usually in these situations, we would want to approach those property owners to talk to them about, what the issues are and our recommendations for something different, and then work our way through that. As far as whether or not it needs to be a condition of the plat or just direction to staff, I think direction probably sufficient.
Okay.
And then we can address what that final outcome is at a final plat stage, or even after that if it takes longer.
Okay, so your original motion continues as is.
Yep. You're fine with that?
I'm fine, that,
Okay,
I'll
anything
second
else?
that too.
Okay. John?
Aye.
Aye.
All right.
Aye.
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 And that passes. Thank you to everybody who came and testified and supplied their thoughts. We really appreciate it.
Just the relevant criteria and standards, sir?
Can we include the relevant criteria and standards as written and presented by Planning and Zoning?
And
Do they need to be amended to fit what we did?
Yeah, you can, but someone needs to make a motion to that effect.
I would move that we accept the relevant criterion standards from the Planning and Zoning Commission.
Second that.
And Jim seconds.
Aye.
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 Aye,
Jim?
it's me.
Aye.
All right.
Thank you.
Thank you.